Today, let's have a good talk about what exactly is that thing that's always blocking us. Do you often have this feeling? You make up your mind to start a new plan, only for your passion to fizzle out in 3 minutes. You want to focus on reading a book, but the thoughts in your head keep running like a never-ending ticker tape. Or, you finally gather the courage to pursue a career goal, but a bunch of voices pop up in your heart, filled with contradiction and pressure. But what if I told you that these seemingly different problems actually all point to the same root cause? Naturally, we feel that it's just because I don't have enough willpower, that I am just lazy. But what if the real problem isn't willpower at all? In fact, there is a deeper, more hidden obstacle operating quietly beneath the surface, and most of us don't even realize it exists. Alright, so what is the first mistake we most commonly make? It's that we always want to reach the sky in a single bound, jumping straight to the finish line, looking for those solutions that seem very impressive. As a result, we end up ignoring the most important and fundamental foundation. These goals all sound great, don't they? Who wouldn't want them? But the problem is, these are all results. We are too eager to harvest the sweet fruits. But we forget that we must first properly sow the seeds, water them, and build a solid foundation. Starting directly from here is just like building a house. You can't start building from the roof. Can you? It would definitely collapse. So, what exactly is the correct order? Ancient wisdom has given us a very clear roadmap: precepts, concentration, and wisdom. The concentration we dream of, that is, super strong focus, and the wisdom to see through the essence of things, are actually the results of cultivation. They are not the starting point. Everything, and I mean everything, must be built on the foundation of precepts. Hey, don't think of precepts as some kind of rigid or stifling dogma. You can understand it as a kind of discipline that keeps your inner self stable, and a kind of self-awareness. This sentence, you could say, hits the nail right on the head. It tells us that before we talk about discipline or any methods, there is one most important prerequisite. You must first understand what your afflictions are. If you don't even know where the root of your problem lies, then any method you use is just scratching the surface. It treats the symptoms, but not the cause. Alright, next, let's look at how these seemingly abstract problems actually manifest vividly in our lives. Believe me, this will be very close to everyone's real experience. Look, this is basically the little theater in our minds playing out every single day. On one hand, we are very ambitious. We want to build a career. We want to share our knowledge. But on the other hand, that little voice of doubt pops out again. Am I doing this just for money and fame? Am I really qualified to teach others? Will I be seen through? Gosh, I have to socialize with so many people. I'm just not that kind of person. The pressure is so high. It is this internal tug-of-war that drains all of our energy, leaving us paralyzed. This state of inconsistency, in certain traditions, is described by a very serious term, the great falsehood. To put it plainly, it means claiming realization without having realized, or claiming attainment without having attained, when you haven't reached that level yet. But for the sake of face or to meet others' expectations, you pretend you already understand, already achieved it. This isn't just a simple lie, it is a fundamental dishonesty. A massive pit that we must absolutely avoid. Okay, after all this build-up, the main event is here. We are now going to reveal that one and only true obstacle that strings all the problems together. Whether it's career anxiety, social phobia, or the inability to focus. Before I give the answer, I want you to stop and think for a moment. The sense of uncertainty at work, the pressure in relationships, and that mind that just won't stay still. These 3 things that seem completely unrelated. What do they actually have in common? The answer is these 2 words, affliction clasher. Wait, pay attention here. The affliction we are talking about isn't what we usually mean by "oh, yeah, I'm so annoyed today." That kind of bad mood. It is a much deeper, more fundamental concept. It refers to those psychological states that drive us and make us suffer, such as greed, anger, confusion, arrogance, doubt, and so on. Remember those fears of craving fame and fortune, or doubting your own qualifications. Those are what afflictions truly look like. This is the real big boss. So you see, the point is, we don't have to play whack-a-mole, dealing with this problem one moment and the problem the next, exhausting ourselves. What we really need to do is focus on dealing with this single root of the tree. As long as the problem at the root is solved, the branches and leaves growing above will naturally change along with that. Alright, I know the word affliction might still sound a bit abstract, but its impact on us is very, very concrete. It even reflects directly on our bodies and changes our brains. This next discovery might give you a shock. This phrase, focus the mind on one point, and nothing is impossible. It is actually describing an ideal state we all yearn for. When your mind can be completely focused on a single point, there is almost nothing you cannot accomplish. This is the complete opposite of our minds that are messed up by afflictions, right? But this isn't just chicken soup for the soul, nor is it some kind of mysticism. In fact, modern scientific research is increasingly proving that this ancient wisdom is true. Our focus, the way our brain operates, and our bodies, especially the things we eat, are inextricably linked. So who is the culprit? The answer might surprise you. It's the food we eat every day. You heard that right? Particularly fried foods and sweets. Research has found that these foods have a very direct and highly negative impact on a part of our brain called the hippocampus. And this hippocampus happens to be the key area responsible for our focus and our memory. To be more specific, a study from Macquarie University in Australia found that these unhealthy foods can, in just 4 short days, destroy our brain's protective barrier and directly attack our hippocampus. This is terrifying, because the hippocampus doesn't just manage memory, it also manages our analytical skills, and even our ability to feel happiness. So when it's damaged, we become forgetful, our heads get foggy, and we easily fall into a bad mood. This essentially forms a vicious cycle. Our afflictions, like the desire for gluttony, make us eat junk food, and then these foods physiologically weaken our ability to control our thoughts. Alright, now that we've caught the root of the problem and seen how concrete it is, what then? What do we do? Next, we are going to talk about how to begin this real work and take back the steering wheel of our lives. We said at the very beginning, telling you to go sit in meditation or practice focus immediately is wrong. It's putting the cart before the horse. So, on this path of precepts, concentration, and wisdom, what is the true starting point? There is a perspective here that sounds a bit counterintuitive, but is incredibly important. The real first step is not telling you to rush and do something, or to change something. It is to first stop, and like a student, go learn and research, to thoroughly understand what that thing called affliction is all about. So, how do we walk the path ahead? It's simple. Step 1. First, acknowledge, okay, all my problems come from this root called affliction. And then, step 2, just like a detective, be very patient in observing it and studying it. See when it appears and what it looks like. Because only when you truly understand it can you take back control, and truly start to master your own mind, instead of being led around by the nouns. How long would this take? The answer might make you catch your breath. According to the master in the source material, to reach the point where you can control your thoughts at will and achieve the state of focusing the mind on one point, it takes at least 2 to 3 years of dedicated practice. So this really isn't some kind of crash course, nor is it a shortcut in life. It is a profound cultivation that requires patience and perseverance. Alright, we've talked so much. Finally, we need to bring the lens back onto yourself. Everything we've discussed today ultimately points to this question. In the midst of all the setbacks, anxieties, and half-finished plans in your life, which root affliction is the one that you need to get to know and understand properly first?